Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Album Fight Club. As always, I'm your host, Mike King. I'm here with my co-host, Cody. Cody, how are you doing?
Mike, I'm doing unbelievably well today. How are you?
I guess I'm doing unbelievably well. I went back to classes today because I was on my spring break, so that's not the best, but they went fine, I suppose. Um, I am well though because today's episode, Cody, I want to do a bit of a primer here. This is unedited, this is unrehearsed, but I want to give a little bit of a primer here.
Okay.
Because I'm sure Cody has a lot to say, and we'll certainly get to what he has to say. But way back when, and I don't know how way back when was, but way back when we did a album rank club episode of the Big Four. It's the only one we've done so far. Hoping to do more, obviously. And so as we've been progressing through episodes, there was this moment where an opportunity presented itself, which is we could do the Big Four of Grunge, because we've talked about Nirvana and Pearl Jam in the same episode. We've talked about Soundgarden. We did an episode with Jason. But we haven't talked about this other band, which I think quite often is obviously and fairly cited as one of like the big groups that came out of the grunge movement. And so you have this other band, and Cody and I have never really talked about this other band, at least to each other. I remember one comment that Cody made at one point, which I think I'll bring up. But otherwise, I don't know Cody's opinion of this band. I don't know how he feels about this band. But if I had to guess, like most people, he feels pretty highly about this band. Um, Cody, I dare to say I think we saved the best for last.
Oh, thank you. We absolutely did.
Yeah.
We 1,000,000%. Everything else was like the appetizer, the accoutrement. This is your fucking beef Wellington, dude. This is the masterclass we were about to talk about today.
And this, of course, is Alice in Chains. And if
Yes.
you can guess, they're two landmark records, which, of course, is Facelift and Dirt, their first and second records. I think any Alice in Chains fan would say these are the two best. I deign to think that anyone thinks that Three-Legged Dog or Jar of Flies, I think it's called.
Yeah, Jar of Flies is the EP, but
Okay.
there's a non-Lane record. It's called Rainier something.
Mhm.
It's like after, Lane passes away. Came
Yeah.
out a couple years ago, yeah.
When it came to this sort of discussion of what two albums to pick, I mean, it was very obvious. It had to be Facelift and Dirt. Because, I mean, honestly, if you're any passing fan of music, I'm sure you've heard at least a few of these songs. And if you're like a fan of like grunge, heavy music, rock, whatever, I'm sure you know these albums. What I'm going to say is that prior to this exercise, I've obviously listened to these albums before. I've obviously been a fan of Alice in Chains, but in doing this, Cody, this might be one of the most difficult track v tracks, album v albums ever, which I say that. And now here's the comment that Cody made once upon a time. I don't remember what episode it was. Somehow Alice in Chains came up, and it might have actually been the last episode now that I think about it. When we stopped recording,
Yeah.
I said we should do Alice in Chains next. And
Yeah.
I alluded to the fact that we could do a sort of like album rank club like we did with the Big Four.
Yeah.
And I think you said something to the notion of, well, obviously Dirt is number one. And I didn't say anything then. But obviously this episode is where I'm going to start saying things because I don't want to spoil too much here. However, in my opinion, I do truly believe this is a very difficult matchup.
Well, Mike, it's interesting that you say that because we're about to flip the script here. I had a converge moment where I love Alice in Chains, right? Really do. Some of the reason that I play music is because of how crushing these songs are. And obviously you can't really skip past the fact of, Lane Staley and Jerry Cantrell's vocal harmonies, Jerry Cantrell's guitar playing, Mike Inez's fucking bass playing. One of these records is now in like the Holy Land for me because of just how consistent it is. And the other one is like I would be happy to never hear these songs again except for like 3 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, because
Man. Okay.
but so here's what I want to say though. You get Soundgarden, right? And Soundgarden's cool, and it's a shame that Chris Cornell passed away, but just in terms of the bands, right? You get Soundgarden, and Soundgarden kicks ass. Their big songs are awesome. Their more legacy-focused records are great. You get here's the middle one for me, or I guess the second to last. You get Nirvana, because you go from Bleach to oh shit, we're a money-making machine, to, oh shit, Kurt Cobain doesn't have a head anymore. Now we're playing shows of Joan Jett and Dave Grohl has assaulted people. What's up, Percy?
Yeah, sorry if you hear something on the audio. The Percy is playing with the microphone at the moment.
The Persameister is what I like to call them. But then the second in my opinion, the second place runner is Pearl Jam. Because Pearl Jam has consistently been good. No real crazy tragedies, nothing like that. Every Pearl Jam record has at least 2 good songs. And I'll attest to that. They've stayed good. They've stayed honest. Eddie Vedder has fucking held his fists in the air and continued to fight. And as weird as it is for someone with that much money to continue to try and associate with the everyman or the consumer, it's really respectful. But then you get to Alice in Chains. And no thrills. You want fucking rock music. You want guitar-based rock music. You want the vocals to kick ass? Hell yeah. You want the guitar solos to kick ass? Hell yeah. You want it to be dirty and grimy but still feel like something's happening there? Hell yeah. And then you say, all right, our legacy is cut short with one absolutely perfect record and a couple of absolutely insane songs. But Mike, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel like the big Alice in Chains songs ever get old?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
Okay, thank you. Because Jeremy does. Alive can get old. Smells Like Teen Spirit, it might as well be in a fucking Belk commercial now. And if I have to hear the intro to Black Hole Sun used in like another Nissan commercial, I'm gonna run my head through a window. Alice in Chains somehow, in this beautiful little purgatory, has continued to stay timeless. Now, the album covers aren't that cool, but the fucking riffs, dude, are so good. The album covers feel like a time capsule, which is nice.
I don't think we need to have this conversation. Just briefly, though, I think Dirt is one of the coolest album covers ever.
I agree, but I feel like it has a date. You can look at it.
It definitely feels like it's from the 90s.
Yes. You hear some of these songs and you go, that could have came out 6 minutes ago and it still fucking crushes.
Yep.
And that's the power of just good goddamn rock and roll.
Well, okay. Cody, I feel like this episode is going to be very different because you're saying, I mean, not different in our sort of format. It's going to be track v track, whatever. You're saying one of these records is a bona fide masterpiece and the other only has like 3 good songs. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yes. And here's why.
No. Hold on. You'll have your moment. That's unbelievable. I think I think both of these records are like pushing masterpiece level. Like, I have a sense of what you think these two are. I mean, if you're like any other Alice in Chains fan, I think I know which one you're saying is the better one. But I'm going to go to bat for Facelift. I'm sorry. I think Facelift gets underrated a lot of the time. I think it's an amazing record. Maybe not 10 out of 10, right? It has moments. I'll give you that. But like, it really pushes weight, especially for a debut.
It does. But man, it bulks up for Dirt. If Facelift is its college run, right? This is its Heisman Trophy. Is Dirt. Is like, okay, all that fucking fat, it's gone now. We are lean muscle. With the exception of like 2 songs, dude.
Okay, that's where I would agree. I don't think every single song on Dirt is great. I think there's at least 2 where it's like, okay, what are we doing?
There's at least 2. Yeah. But once again, I mean, you're putting this in my opinion, this is the hot take of the conversation to me. Because I know what we're going to say. I know what you're going to say and I'm going to say. I think this should be in the top 5 greatest hard rock albums of all time. Dirt. That's how highly I think of it. Because it doesn't. And not a single bit, except for the couple of songs where they're a little grating, right? It doesn't drop. And it just, every time I've re-listened to Dirt, I was like, damn, dude, this still hits as hard as it did the very first time I heard it. And that's a rare thing to have happen. To continue to feel the exact same level of excitement every single time you hear a song in comparison to a slight, well, I know it's going to happen. I think that's how highly I would relegate this. I think this could knock out a couple of really big landscape bands or landmark bands and say, sorry, you got two and one of them was fucking perfect, you know?
Yeah, there's some accolades I would certainly give it. I think no matter how this conversation goes, I think Dirt is the better record. But what I love track v track is there's going to be moments here where I prefer in a track versus track lineup. I prefer Facelift. Like it's just how it works. So I would say I do think that Dirt is probably Alice in Chains' best record if we're just going to be blunt. I would argue possibly the best album in the grunge scene if we're going to throw Alice in Chains in the grunge camp. Definitely one of the best albums of the 90s. I think that's very clear. But best, hard rock, total, that I don't know. That's a huge swath of music, and I would have to really think about it. But it's definitely a landmark record for sure.
Yeah.
So do you want to just jump into these tracks?
Listen, I mean, we might as well jump in because track 1 is a crazy matchup. Because
no, go ahead. Sorry.
Because track 1 on Facelift, you get this song called, what is it? We Die Young.
Yeah, banger, dude, banger.
Yo,
so good.
Great song. Great song.
So, no, is that okay? So are you about to do one of those great song butt moments? Because if you are, let me talk first then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So there are 5 incredibly tough matchups here. And I think there's like 12 tracks, 13 tracks total, if I'm not mistaken. So 13 matchups, might be 12. I think 5 of these matchups are almost impossible for me. This is one of them.
Ooh.
Now, I know what other track that is on Dirt, and I'm with you that it's like unbelievable. And we will talk about it, but let me just say, We Die Young as track 1, album 1. This is you put the needle down on the record, and this is the first thing you hear from this band.
Yeah.
What a way to kick down the door, dude, and just come in. I mean, Jerry's guitar riff is nuts. The playing from Mike and Sean on bass and drums, respectively, is just fantastic across the board. But of course, if you're going to talk about Alice in Chains, you have to talk about Lane Staley, who, again, another sort of moment of like, is he the greatest vocalist of the 90s? There's definitely an argument to be made. I mean, he is just iconic on both these records. And I'm not going to attempt to do any vocals here because I'm just going to fuck it up. But his We Die Young, the way he does it, like just that grit and that sound and that passion is just so goddamn good. Amazing, amazing, amazing opener. But sorry, go ahead.
I agree. And honestly, the reason why I say Alice in Chains is the best of the grunge bands is because these songs actively feel like a middle finger to like the hair metal thing that I think Nirvana wanted to do, but they got way too wrapped up in their own shit. Alice in Chains never became like the poster boy. They were big, they're a huge band, massive band, still a massive band, but like Nirvana was on TV more, and then Pearl Jam had the whole Ticketmaster thing, and Soundgarden just continued to push. They're like, we're just gonna keep rolling, we're on MTV now, let's keep fighting it. But you get to a song like We Die Young, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, you liked, what, Motley Crue? No, this is what this is going to sound like now. And you can either get on the fucking bus or you can get off. That's it. Like, and in comparison to the other guitar-driven music that has come around at this time, I mean, both of these songs are not only tonally amazing, but technically proficient, which is kick-ass. And then, like you said about Mike and Sean on the rhythm section, talk about two people who just are in the pocket.
Yeah.
In that pocket.
One thing I did want to say at the top that I didn't get to say, so I'm going to say it now. Metallica becomes the biggest band in the metal rock, hard rock scene in 91 when they released the Black Album. If I'm not mistaken, Facelift comes out in 91 as well, and then Dirt comes out in 92. What's funny to me is that both these albums sound like Load and Reload, but if they were actually really good. It almost sounds like in 96, Metallica was like, okay, what album do we make? And they listened to Alice in Chains. They're like, okay, let's try and do this. And then they released Load and Reload, and like, it's just not nearly as good. Like nowhere even close. So there's a lot of moments on here because I'm such a huge Metallica fan where I'm like, God, this sounds like a Load song, but like if they knew what they were doing and they executed it like flawlessly. So We Die Young, in some moments it sounds like something Metallica might attempt. And like I said, We Die Young, absolutely amazing. However, dude, Them Bones is just too fucking cool, dude. Like, so goddamn cool.
Yeah, yeah. I know. Wait, I always say this, but this is like the Adult Swim. Like, get out of the pit. Because if this song came on, if I saw Alice in Chains and this song came on, this isn't like something you could really mosh to. I would kill somebody. I'd put somebody in the fucking hospital.
Yep.
This song, every single bit of it is perfect. And this is how you want to start your second record. There's like no sophomore slump on it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Once again, it's like this is its Heisman run. It trimmed down the fat, and now you're only getting the muscle. You got Lane Staley flexing his vocal cords. You've got one of the nastiest guitar riffs of all time. Super sick bass, super sick drums.
But that's the thing, though. If the guitar riff in the verses is literally 4 notes, it's just barrel, 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 barrel.
Yeah.
And yet it's the coolest sounding thing when you put all the parts together. And I think it's Lane and Jerry doing like vocals together.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like it's multiple layers. I don't know what effect they're doing, but it just sounds so cool, dude. Like, I did give it to Them Bones because while I do think We Die Young is really, really great, Them Bones is just it's so cool.
But I just want to mention something really quickly. If you were like learning how to play guitar, this is the solo tone that Jerry Cantrell has for Them Bones is the best solo guitar tone in the world. It's like thick and it's meaty, but it's still trebly. Oh, and he does that like pitch up right in the middle before they go back into the second verse. He's like, wow, wow. He hits that up, and I could die. It's like maybe a slightly better, more perfect guitar tone than like Gilmore on Comfortably Numb. That's how good it is. And I gave it to Them Bones. But then here's the fucked up part, dude. All right, we're gonna transition now we're gonna keep rolling with Dirt because
sure, yeah.
The song on Facelift is maybe the song.
Yeah, for sure.
So you get out of Dirt and you're like, man, that was such a cool guitar riff. I like can't wait to get home and play through my Line 6 Spider to learn this guitar riff. And then, what? Big fucking snare hit into Damn That River? Nah, dude, I'm sorry. Truly, Damn That River is my favorite Alice in Chains song because it just, like, does not stop. They're playing that riff, and you're like, oh, that's cool. That's in, like, a weird time signature. And then you get fucking Lane coming in. Once again, with the best vocals of the 90s, in terms of like a rock context, everybody is so fucking good, and it's so heavy, and it's so progressive, without it being like a meathead song. You have to think, to listen to this song, you have to be, like, if you started tapping your toe to this song, you'd be like, oh, it's in like 6. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned that notion of like, hearing Them Bones and like picking up the record and going back to your house, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna learn this on guitar. And so you put it on the record back in the 90s, of course, and you're just like trying to play along, and then it gets to the end of Them Bones and you start to get up, but then Damn That River comes on, you go, holy shit, this is cooler than the last song.
Dude, it's so fucking cool.
But like, the whole song's amazing, but that goddamn chorus, dude.
Whoa.
Like,
yeah.
Just again, I don't want to attempt to try and sing it, but just if you've never heard this song, you have to hear this song and you have to listen to that chorus. It's got so much weight behind it.
It's almost, in a way, it's almost as if you took like Aretha Franklin and you put her in a rock band. That's what Lane's voice is on this song. It's like he's almost got this like gospel like power to him. Because he's like, oh, you wouldn't damn that river. It's like crazy. Like, this dude is so small and so lanky and so addicted to heroin, but how the fuck is he hitting this note?
And I don't give a damn.
Damn anyway. Oh, yeah. Oh, dude. it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You get to song 2 on fucking We Die Young ends, and you're like, that's tight. And you get maybe the best rock song that came out in all of the 90s.
Honestly, maybe like just the boom, boom, boom,
bop,
boom,
bop,
like, I don't know how it is that we got through a decade of Metallica, Slayer, and like the big four bands that we've
Yeah.
talked about, bands that we've talked about like Motorhead. I don't know how we've gone from the 70s to the 80s and we get to the 90s. And in 91, Alice in Chains comes out with Man in the Box, and it's the heaviest thing you've ever heard.
Ever. I wish I had a sound clip of the quote that you had when we were talking about Eruption. Because that is what this fucking feels like.
Yep.
Every single time you get the snare hit and that string slide down, yeah, you were cutting the fucking atom bomb right there. That is how strong it is.
Yeah, it's, I mean, like, I don't remember the quote exactly, but it said things like it has no diminishing returns.
Yeah.
It is it's as Chuck Klosterman, who wrote that thing that I read back then, he said that Eruption was the most important freestanding guitar solo of all time. I think this might be the most important, like, freestanding song of the 90s, because it comes out early in the 90s, and then it's a lot of bands for the next 8, 7, 9 years trying to chase this sound.
Dude, it totally is.
Even Metallica, the biggest metal band in the world, hears Man in the Box and goes, shit, they kind of just beat us at our own game. Like,
yes.
this is a band off the block. This is their first album, dude. Like, come on.
But, dude, we have to fucking talk about that chorus.
Oh, yeah.
That Lane does. Scientifically, that is the hardest chorus to hit in like all of contemporary music. Because he's going from like a low C, he does an entire octave up, full chest voice, back down into it. Which is like, that is so technically impressive, but that's not what I want to talk about. It is the fucking power that he is hitting these songs with. This isn't someone who is like I went to school to sing. You know, this isn't someone who's like, I did a whole bunch of shit to sing. This is someone who the universe gave them this voice and said, you're going to get your fucking chance to use it. And holy Christ, does he use it on this song in particular. It is so moving that sometimes it brings me to fucking tears. That's how powerful his voice is on it. And he is just full bore, like almost screaming. And it's so goddamn good. And this was a hard matchup for me.
Yeah, this is tough matchup number 2.
Yeah, because Damn That River is my favorite Alice in Chains song. But like, you know, this is the song.
Yeah.
If I would almost be willing to say, if I had to boil down hard rock into a song, it would be this. If an alien came or somebody came from a parallel dimension who had never heard like heavy guitar music that wasn't like Meshuggah, right? Or Black Sabbath, like it would be this. I would say this is what it sounds like. Fucking figure it out. Because it's not only the guitars, and it's not only the vocals. It's also, once again, the bass. Like Inez is playing a Spectre bass, just right through the fucking drums and guitar, man. He's sitting right on top. But then the drums come in, and you're like, oh man, I hope they don't fuck this up. No. Solid. The Nick Mason in this situation of like, we're not playing too much, we're not playing too little, you're getting what the song needs. I don't know. This might be, in my opinion, the best hard rock song of all time.
It makes a case for itself. And like you said, Damn That River is like just as good as Man in the Box. The only reason I give Man in the Box the edge is because, like I said, I think a lot of 90s bands, including the big ones like Metallica, heard Man in the Box and were like, we have to do this. Which is why you get Load and Reload. You don't get And Justice for All 2. You don't get Master of Puppets 2. You specifically get Load and Reload, of all things.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think that part of that is because of the bands that come out in the early part of the 90s. Bands like Alice in Chains, bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, whatever, right? They try and chase that sound, and unfortunately for Metallica, it's not very good. Fucking Alice in Chains nailed it song 1, but song 2, album 1.
Yeah.
Like, they nailed it. They got it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the only reason... I'll use this analogy. Damn That River is a song that if I went and a cover band played it, I would be excited. Anytime I go see a cover band and they play Man in the Box, I'm on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
That just somehow that riff is like, no, dude, eternal. I'm standing up for this. I have to. because it's so fucking good.
Yeah. So here's just my perspective. So far, both these records, I know you feel a little differently, but both these records, both second tracks are just like firing off, like for me at least, like just total sucker punches, 1-2 punches that are amazing. I think in the case of Facelift, it goes a little bit down. I think in the case of Dirt, it stays right where it's at.
Here's what that is the exact point that I was going to make. Slowly, Dirt just stays on its road.
Mm-hmm.
It goes up in some points, but it never goes down. There's never the valley. It just returns to a road. Whereas Facelift has moments where it's like, fuck yeah, dude, this is the best song I've ever heard. And then like, you're like, why did you do this? Why was this choice made? But that's okay, because you don't get Dirt if you don't have the Facelift.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't get one without the other. Yeah.
So track 3 for Facelift is Sea of Sorrow, which it's good. You know, like I said earlier, I think I think pretty much every song on Facelift is at worst like good.
Yeah.
There's one song on Dirt that I just don't like, but we'll get there eventually. So Sea of Sorrow, it's a good song, but when your first 2 tracks are We Die Young and Man in the Box, like any song that comes after that, it's like you're not even going to come close. I will say, I think there's piano happening in the intro.
There is.
It totally, which is cool. You didn't hear that in the first 2 tracks. And honestly, you don't really hear that anywhere else.
No.
Not in the sort of accelerated way that it goes. And through a lot of these songs, I think Alice in Chains just knows how to write great choruses. And I do think Sea of Sorrow is a great chorus.
Yes.
However, the bass starts on Rain When I Die. And immediately I'm like, okay, take me away. And the goddamn verses where Lane is just doing this vocal thing. Like, it almost sounds like he's speaking through like mesh or something. I don't know how to describe it. Like, again, I don't want to mimic Lane Staley, but like, I don't know how to describe it, dude. It's just so goddamn cool. And then the chorus comes back to his normal voice where he's just like belting this, like perfectly belting these lines in these lyrics. And I love the juxtaposition of like, the verse is low end vocals, but it's got that amazing guitar riff going the whole time. And then the chorus is like taking it out of the mire and lifting it up into the sun, and just, it's fantastic. The only thing I don't like about this song is the fake ending. I don't know why they did that. I don't think it's necessary.
I totally agree. Everything you said. For my notes for Sea of Sorrow, I wrote, yeah, motherfucker, we're playing the blues. But like once you get into it, it's like, all right, this is cool, I guess. Yep. But then Right When I Die is what grunge, in my opinion, should be. If I had to show somebody like a prototypical like grunge song, like describe this to me, it wouldn't be Nirvana, it wouldn't be Pearl Jam, it wouldn't be Soundgarden. It'd be like this. Because in my opinion, Alice in Chains was the last true grunge band. You know? It's like, but it's funny because when you get to Rain When I Die on Dirt, all of these songs are kind of like, oh fuck, I'm probably gonna die soon. That's what's crazy about this, is like this whole record, both these records are just like Lane Staley communicating with death.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah, and the rest of the band just being like, he's gonna write the lyrics. You know, like, yeah, I mean, this is, once again though, Facelift is in a slight valley, and Dirt is just on the road. So I think for me, it's Rain When I Die.
Yeah, I think very clearly. Like, this is not a tough matchup at all, at least in my perspective. No. But then we get to track number 4 for each, which is Bleed the Freak for Facelift and Down in a Hole for Dirt. Is it going to shock you that I went with Bleed the Freak for this matchup?
No, but I didn't.
Okay. Yeah. So here's my thing about Down in the Hole, which is one of the lead singles off Dirt. It's one of the like big Alice in Chains songs. You're likely to hear it on radio if you just casually listen to like rock radio. I think Down in a Hole is very, very good. But it's another moment like on Facelift where I said, hey, you followed up We Die Young and Man in a Box. Like, you can't really follow that up. Honestly, I feel that way with Dirt in this moment where you're following up Them Bones, Damn That River, and Rain When I Die. Like, what could you possibly bring to the table? And they bring a song that admittedly is very good. But it's also a song that doesn't do anything exciting for me. It's like a perfectly made pizza, and it's like, I love pizza. Pizza's my favorite thing in the world, food wise. And it's like, I'll eat any pizza you throw in front of me, but it's like Domino's. It's like Pizza Hut. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna eat the whole thing, but like, this is not top tier stuff. Down in a Hole is very, very good. I think it's a great song. It's not really impressing me. Whereas Bleed the Freak sort of got me out of that valley you were talking about with Sea of Sorrow. It sort of lifted me back up to that moment. And honestly, I just like the sound and the progression more of Bleed the Freak than Down in a Hole. So this is sort of the track by track issue, although I don't really see it as an issue. When comparing song to song, I think Bleed the Freak just beats Down in a Hole for me. Bleed the Freak against any of the other 3 tracks we've talked about on Dirt, not a chance. Gets fucking blown out of the water. So just happened to be the track matchup that happened here.
And see, for me, I love what Down in a Hole does. I think it's so cool to have that kind of like really hard shift, you know? Because there are a couple other songs on these records where they kind of do it again. But for the first time that you really, really get to hear it, it's so cool. Bleed the Freak is good, but I prefer the variation of Down in a Hole in comparison to Bleed the Freak, which, you know, it's, you know, the thing that I'm going to say is what I'm going to say every single time. Bleed the Freak could be any other band's biggest song of all time. And this is song 4 on your first record.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, in my opinion, the variation is slightly better in Dirt.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, if it was ever a moment of, I think when it comes to Facelift, like we've mentioned, it's the first album. It's the first exposure anybody's getting to this band.
Yeah.
I think by track 4, I think any listener can agree that Lane Staley is like quite the singer.
Oh.
But in any event they don't, they get I Can't Remember on a silver platter. And they go, you don't think this guy's good? And they just lift it up and there's I Can't Remember. Oh my God, dude. Like, I Can't Remember is just like, the riff is so good. Like that grit to the riff. But when he does those, like, I don't want to mimic him. When he does the isolations of I can't remember, and like, it's just like the guitar note held out. But when he gets to the member, like at that moment, the band comes back in with the riff and the set. Oh my God. And then to top all of that, he gets to, I think it's the post chorus, and he hits those like high notes. Oh my God. I was like wooing in my car every time it happened. And it's so effortless. He just like slides right into it. And I'm just like, woo, baby. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I adore I Can't Remember. If you would see me in the car, Cody, listening to these albums, like,
that's awesome.
Like, unbelievable. Do you want to, before we go to Sick Man, I'll give you your piece about I Can't Remember.
Oh boy, dude. I like this song, but man, in my opinion, Metallica did this song better.
With what?
I can't. It just, every time I listen to the song, I'm like, this just feels like Metallica. Like, it just feels like middle ground Metallica. Which is funny that, you know.
I would say it's better than Metallica.
I don't know. But I mean, like, the vocal run is impressive, but I think it's what the rest of the band is doing. It's cool, but it's not like anything like exceptional, you know?
All right.
Yeah. But I mean, dude, and then, okay, honestly, I even felt similar to Sick Man until you get to that middle fucking section where for some reason they turn into the Moody Blues, and you're like, when did you pull this out of the hat? Who had this sitting in the pocket? You know, out of nowhere. It's like, oh, do you like psych rock? Yeah, you're about to.
It is strange because the song, it's a very up-tempo, momentum-driven song.
Yeah.
But then you hit the chorus, and they just, like, brake as hard as they can and slow down the car. I really like the chorus. I gotta be honest, I don't really care for the verse portions.
That's fair.
Just the, what the hell am I? It's like, it's fine. I'm not gonna skip it for sure. But I'm always just wanting to get to the chorus when I'm listening to Sick Man. And then when the drums come back in, like knowing the verse is coming, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But then they get to that bridge section, and that bridge is A+, dude. So good.
Now here's the real question. This is the make or break of the podcast. If you answer this incorrectly, we're not doing another episode.
Okay, here we go.
Are you taking Sick Man or Spoon Man?
Well, Cody, it's been great working with you.
It's been
I
fantastic.
think we've had a fan. Yeah, I would go Spoon Man personally.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I would.
I think maybe I would do Spoon Man just to hear him go Spoon Man.
I really like the drum part of Spoon Man.
That's fair.
Well, what about? I'm assuming you went Sick Man in this matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's fair. It's okay.
So far we've had two, at least for me, tough matchups, or basically the first two tracks.
Yeah.
Cody, I'm going to shock you again. This next matchup is a tough one for me.
That's absolutely insane to me, dude.
Well, why don't we go ahead and talk about what I assume is your better track here, which would be on Dirt.
What do you think my better track is? I think it's like the public consensus.
No, for sure. This is like one of the Alice in Chains songs. And I got to tell you, it's a 10 out of 10 track, for sure.
Dude, that's awesome that you said that, because my note for this song is, come on, Mike, this is another perfect song. So I had the premonition to know. I had the preparation to know that you would have chose Love, Hate, Love. How are you gonna pick? That is insane. You're telling me, what's the chorus? Yeah, there goes the rooster.
Look, it's not a matter of one of these songs is trash and the other is amazing.
I'm not saying that.
It's like pristine vintage wine versus prestige vintage wine. It's like, I don't know which one to pick. They're both amazing.
I think I have to pick the one that every single time I hear it, I immediately, without thinking about it, start singing the chorus.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, the rooster is absolutely amazing. Here's what I'll do going to bat for Love, Hate, Love. Now, to be fair, I don't know. This is actually a matchup I didn't settle because I wanted to hear your opinions and it might have swayed me one way or the other.
Interesting.
Love, Hate, Love, I think, is so underrated. Love how slow it is, which all the songs a lot have been slow on these albums, but like this one feels like slinking through mud, like just like crawling through the muck and mire of like a swamp. And it's just the heftiness of the riff, but the thing that sells it to me is again, it's Lane. It's just how he's like approaching these vocals. And he says something like, I want to skin fuck your face at one point, and it's like, what the hell, dude? But like the way he's saying it, you just like feel dirty, even though the next album's called Dirt. You feel so dirty and disgusting listen to this until you get to the chorus, which might be my favorite chorus. I know Man in the Box exists, like I know, but Love, Hate, Love might be one of my favorite choruses on Facelift. Just like something about it, dude. Here's the one thing I will give to Rooster that Love, Hate, Love does not do. Rooster is a perfect length.
Oh, dude, thank you.
Love, Hate, Love is a minute too long. I will give you that.
This might be... Is this the only time in Album Fight Club history where you have commented on a song length before me? Usually I'm the one who's like, why is this 9 minutes?
Maybe. And I will agree with, and even in spite of that, like, yeah, shave a minute off Love, Hate, Love, you're golden. But even in spite of that, this is still a moment where I'm like, I don't know, dude. I think in the end of the day, I would give it to Rooster for that caveat of the idea, like every time I listen to Rooster, it's the perfect length. I'm right there with you. I'm singing with you. I'm jamming with you. It's a fantastic, perfect song.
Yeah.
I just really think Love, Hate, Love does not get enough credit.
I didn't like Love, Hate, Love for the most part. But that's because I think the benefit that Alice in Chains has had over the decades since their really, really big peak era was, man, radio loves Alice in Chains. Like, you'll get some Nirvana occasionally, right? You'll get some Pearl Jam. Every once in a while, you'll get like Black Hole Sun or Spoon Man. I feel like every hour Alice in Chains is playing on the radio. Like when I turn on if I turn on like Octane, I'm hearing the and I'm like, all right, man, cool. Yep, I love Alice in Chains. I'll listen to this. Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's so good. But then with like Rooster, like, yeah, that when he gets to that chorus, we're like, here there comes to snuff the rooster. It's like, yes, this is what I fucking want hard rock to be, man. It's like Mama, I'm Coming Home, but 100 times better. Every single time.
I can't fault it. The Rooster is a perfect track. I'm with you.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Would you be surprised to know that the next matchup is also a tough one?
I wouldn't. It just sounds like you really like Alice in Chains.
I do. I don't know. But I think in most Alice in Chains fans, I think most of them would say that Dirt is by far and away the better record. And I don't think it's by far and away the better record. I do agree it's the better record. But when it came to a track by track situation, there are a lot of moments where I'm like, damn, dude, Facelift really punches. It really throws some haymakers.
Well, I think you do a really great job about compartmentalizing a record experience versus a track by track experience. That's where I think that's where your success is doing this podcast. Because for me, if I listen to a record one time and I know when the beats are, it's weird to take it out of context. You know?
Mm.
And so, like, doing both of these records, I did track by track, but it's also, I do 2 big album playthroughs of each. And that's where it's like, it's hard because, you know, you're rolling into some of these songs. One ends and you're like, fuck yeah, dude, I can't wait for this. Instead of doing like, okay, it's this song and then this song. This song and then this song. It's, oh, well, that's where this falls in comparison to this. Which is, you know, different.
So when it comes to a moment like It Ain't Like That, which is the next song in Facelift.
Yeah.
And you get the chunkiest goddamn boy you've ever had thrown in your face. How do you not go, okay, hold on a second. Is Dirt the better record?
Oh,
because, like, I don't know. When it Ain't Like That comes in and it's just that chunk, dude. Like, I could take a bite out of it. It's so chunky. It's almost like it goes from grudge to like sludge metal or something.
It does.
Like just total sludge. And then the verses the verses are sick. The chorus, the goddamn chorus, Cody, is a goddamn banger. I'm not explaining this to you any more than I've been explaining it to you. I don't know. I just but then you get Junkhead.
Ooh, okay.
And the thing about Junkhead, and this is why this is a tough matchup, because it's not like this sounds totally different than everything that came before it on the album Dirt, but suddenly you get like this demonic swing sound.
Yeah.
And it's just like, where the hell did they pull this out of? With the uplifting chorus, which they've been doing a lot of like down in the muck in the verse, up above the clouds in the chorus. And it's another moment like that where like you're suffocating in the muck and then a hand just grabs you and pushes you above the tree line. And now you can breathe again. And it's got a sick guitar solo, dude. I love the guitar solo in Sick Man. Or excuse me, Junkhead. Sorry. Okay. Meant Junkhead. I actually gave the edge to It Ain't Like That. And it's that chunk, man. It comes down to the chunk.
I agree.
Yeah. Just
100%.
Love a good chunky boy.
Junkhead is cool, but it's Alice in Chains, their one fault is sometimes they'll lock into those weird, like, almost like middle, like walk down riffs, you know? They'll do like, and it's like, yo, when it works, it really works. That's kick ass. When it doesn't work, I feel like I'm in a Scooby-Doo chase scene. It's like, this isn't fun. Whereas like, It Ain't Like That is like, yeah, sometimes you just want some chunk. Sometimes, brother, you just want some beef stew. You know? Pizza's good, but man, it's cold outside. Nah, I'm making some beef stew.
I'd probably still eat pizza.
I respect that.
I love
pizza.
All right. So you went with It Ain't Like That as well?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Next matchup?
Don't say it.
Not tough at all.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Total freaking wash, dude. Dirt, the self-titled track, I think is the coolest song on Dirt.
Oh, I think it's maybe a contender for it, yeah.
Dude, that like Middle Eastern riff they got going. Oh my God. And then Lane Staley just coming in with those. It's like the coolest. It's a terrible subject. I'm not mistaken. It's like suicidal and all this, but like, man, does it sound so cool.
Yeah.
Just like it's like an eldritch horror being birthed into the universe, and like it's consuming the galaxy. Like that's how freaking cool this song is. As Sunshine, it's like, yeah, it's fine. It's an okay moment. Like,
bro, Sunshine just sounds like the Allman Brothers. I was listening to it and I was like, yo, what the fuck is this?
To me, it sounds like good load and reload. That's how I sort of compartmentalized it.
I was like, this just sounds like Dwayne Allman picking up a fucking Les Paul. And you get to Dirt and it's like, all right, yeah, you're just still fucking cruising along. Somehow you wrote every good riff of all time.
Yeah, Dirt's so sick.
It looks like there was like a bucket of good riffs that every time somebody swore they had to throw a good riff into, and then they waited like 2 years and they just started pulling out all of the good riffs. They were like, that last record had a couple, right? This is every single good riff.
Yeah, no real conversation to be had here. A conversation we could have at some point is what's your favorite song on each. I'll make a hard case for the song Dirt. Like, that song is so cool. And the unfortunate thing is that look at all the tracks we've talked about on Dirt. Like, this album is swinging so hard throughout the whole track run. I think so is Facelift, but that's just me. So
okay, now we'll go back to this real quick. Think about the other like legacy hard rock albums. This is the point in them where there'd be a dip. This is where you get a couple of those songs where you go, I've got to sit through Embryo. Fuck, dude. I just can't get to Into the Void.
Well,
I've got to sit through this because then, Mike, you're like, oh, hell yeah. The fucking Dirt as a song kicked ass, and you get to Godsmack, which might be the best song on this entire record, like, bar none. It's like if George Harrison did actual hard drugs, if he was like huffing paint for 7 months straight. Because you get Lane State, you get that weird ass riff, right? You're like, you're like, this isn't even like a riff. And then Lane coming in where he's like, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, is this record secretly releasing PCP through my car speakers? And you're like, okay, cool, hell yeah, fucking love this. And then, you do what I do. You go to Facelift, and then you accidentally have to look at Spotify because you think you've put on Mr. Brownstone by Guns N' Roses. And no, it's just Put You Down, which is exactly the same song as Mr. Brownstone. Same riff, same hits, almost same vocal. And I'm stuck here going, why the fuck would you put Godsmack as track 9? This should have been like track 2 or 3. I'm about to put that. I'm just front loading that son of a bitch. Godsmack, brother. And it does lose points because the band Godsmack, I think, came from this song. And I can't stand fucking Godsmack. That's just like domestic abuse music. But I'm taking that. I'm taking Godsmack over fucking fake Mr. Brownstone.
Did I hear you correctly? Godsmack is the best song on Dirt?
I wrote secretly maybe the best song on this record.
Cody, I think this is the end of Album Fight Club. I think Godsmack is by far and away the worst song on Dirt.
That's crazy.
It's not. It hits so much lower than every other song.
No way.
Yeah, totally. And the thing, I fucking hate the vocals on this track. Because it's your moment where you go, what the fuck is happening? In my moment, I go, what the fuck is happening? Because it's Lane Staley. It's like one of the vocalists of the 90s. And now all of a sudden he's doing like this, like putting the hand, like fluctuating the hand in front of it. Like, stop,
he's like,
dude.
He's doing like a Comanche like war cry.
Yeah, and it's stupid as hell is what it is. It's dumb. And honestly, the instrumentation is so cool on Godsmack.
So good.
Like, the vocals just ruin it for me. Honestly, I would prefer Godsmack to just be an instrumental track.
That's fair.
Because the vocals just really... And to be fair, Put You Down isn't great either. Put You Down, it might be my least favorite song on Facelift. So this is a matchup that was like my 2 least favorite songs on both these records. But I didn't hate the vocal performance of Put You Down.
There's no way.
So, guess what's happening, Cody? I'll go ahead and mark a C for you next to Godsmack, and I'll keep my M next to Put You Down, and we'll move on from there.
That's insane. Dude, one of these is a real song. The other is Mr. Brownstone. The other's like copyright-free Mr. Brownstone.
At least it's doing something with the vocals that doesn't make me want to turn it off.
Dr. Blackrock. But they should have called this song, dude.
They should have called Godsmack. This is stupid. Turn it off and skip to the next one.
Okay, so how you feel about Godsmack is how I feel about the way that we made this matchup work. Was taking Untitled and Hate to Feel and slamming them together.
Yes, I think that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, because dude, this is the low point on this record. And it's okay that it's the low point because it's fucking 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm taking 7 minutes of like a kind of a deficit over like 3 minutes here and 3 minutes here and 3 minutes here. Because all I wrote for Untitled / Hate to Feel is this is exhausting.
Well, let me say with Untitled, right? If it's this 40-second just nothing burger of a track. In fact,
Yeah.
I kind of honestly don't know why it's even on the track list. Interesting fact though, Slayer's Tom Araya is in the song.
That's cool.
He's the one that says, "I am Iron Gland," like that whole thing. That's actually Tom Araya.
That tracks.
That doesn't make it great though. It's still a stupid track. The thing about Hate to Feel, I do agree with you. It's an exhausting song. It feels like the same thing is happening over and over again.
Yeah.
Except when they get to the chorus and he's doing that like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's a moment where I'm like, man, that's really stupid. But then they run it back, and then Jerry's doing like these guitar flourishes behind it. Like the ding 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 bing bing. Like that was really cool. That caught me off guard and I loved it.
Yeah.
Not enough to save the whole track, but I was always looking forward to that moment in the chorus where he was going to do the bing bing.
Yeah.
I just thought it was cool. As opposed to Confusion, which me personally, Cody's shaking his head. I'm afraid to say anything at this point.
Just do it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's nearly the best song on this album. I don't.
No.
But like, it's still a moment where I'm like, I wouldn't turn this off. I think it fits the sort of lane of Facelift that Facelift is taking. And the chorus it's like a sing-along chorus of all things. Love, sex, pain, confusion, stuff. Like, it's just like, it's not the kind of thing that's going to get the whole stadium singing, but it is a moment where, I don't know, in the car when I'm listening to it, I just sing along to it because I think it's doing interesting things.
Yes. And I the only reason Confusion won over is that it is because it is not a 7-minute or 6.5 minute fucking nightmare with one good part.
Yeah. And
Yeah. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. Eventually, your record's going to have to kind of take a little bit of a dip. That's okay. That's fine. But like, man, the only thing that I really think saves Dirt is the last 2 songs. Because I think if these last 2 songs did not exist on Dirt, I think people would be like, this record sucks. But I think if you can get through Untitled and Hate to Feel, you get to the last 2 songs, you're like, all right, you pulled yourself up far enough where I'm still here for it.
I feel a little differently, but I'll let you start.
Well, man, I don't know. This might be the end of our friendship because you go Angry Chair, which is a classic, a bona fide fucking classic Alice in Chains song.
It is a classic, but I'm not sure why it's one.
That's fair. Okay, that's cool. You know what else is a classic? Lay Freak by Chic. You know what isn't a classic? I Know Something About You, which I swear to God, dude, Nile Rodgers must have been in the room. Stevie fucking Wonder must have been down the hall working on whatever Stevie Wonder does when he goes to a recording studio. Because out of nowhere, there's just funk guitar.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not like a hint. It's like, oh, we're like taking something. It's like, yo, the record has changed. The record came off of the turntable, went back into its sleeve. A Chic record came out of its sleeve, went onto the turntable. I don't know what the fuck happened here. I don't know how any competent decision was made. Holy fuck. Oh my God.
Are you saying it's a bad song?
I'm not saying it's a bad song. I'm saying it just has no point to being here. Because you've got this isn't a case of like Joy Division, right? Where, well, I guess if you're a Joy Division fan, you know that there's a Warsaw EP that comes before Unknown Pleasures, right? But for most people, Unknown Pleasures is the Joy Division record. That's where everything starts. You get Transmission and Disorder, and like those are the first songs, right? This should have been on the Jar of Flies EP or whatever. It's cool. That's fine. You want to slam it there. I thought it was a cover. And I was like, oh, great. When I did my first listen, I was like, great, Mike's going to be like, fucking hate covers. This shit sucks. And I'm like, all right, Mike and I are going to fucking handshake agree on this. I just don't understand. I'm not asking for a lot. Just don't, you're not fucking Daft Punk. You just can't you just can't pick and choose what you're going to do. Because at the end of the day, you're a fucking hard rock band. I would have been so confused. I wouldn't even been upset. I just would have been like a dad. I would have been like if I had kids and I found they were smoking weed, I'd be like, why didn't you tell me? We could have like talked about this. Like we could have like had a conversation, but instead you're just over here smoking fucking fentanyl. What are you doing, Alice in Chains?
I gave it to I Know Something About You.
You got me fucked up, man.
No, I did. I totally did. Cody can't hear me right now. Yo, come on, dude. Like, okay. Now that you have your headphones back on.
First it's the fucking season 2 finale of Severance, and now this bullshit. This week is killing me, man. I'm gonna scream.
Look, to bring it back to Angry Chair for a second, I agree that Angry Chair is, I don't know, like a classic song. I'm not entirely sure why, though. If you pull all the classic radio singles from Dirt, I think this is by far the weakest one. Because especially the next Dirt song we're about to talk about just destroys it like with like a nuclear bomb. But we're not there yet. So Angry Chair, I just don't love it. Like I like the bridge. I think the solo's fine, but like everything else about this song to me is just so forgettable. And maybe that's because of its placement. Maybe it's because it's the second last song and it's the song that comes before the last song on Dirt. I don't know, man. It just doesn't do it for me. But then you get I Know Something, which I'm totally with you. I have no idea where this came from. I have no idea what they were possessed to do here. I have no idea if Nile Rodgers was in fact in the room. But they kind of do it well for me. Like it just like the funky sort of like ding 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 it comes in. I'm like, okay. But the second that Lane does the and then like they all come in with it, like, okay, you got me, dude. Like it's fun. And then the chorus is so fun. Like it's another like sing-songy, sing-along chorus. Is it the best track on Facelift? No, not at all. Of course not. And, you know, Facelift as its ending kind of just, it's just is what it is. The ending of this album, the last couple songs, it's like, this is fine, you know?
Yeah.
Angry Chair, though, I think it kind of makes the whole end of the album weaker. If not for the next song, which is so perfect of a song, I think Dirt would have a really weak ending because you get Untitled, Hate to Feel into Angry Chair. I'm like, you're starting to lose me, Alice in Chains. You better pick it up. And boy, do they. Do we have anything else to say about this matchup before we move on to the final one?
Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm a little too upset about this, but
no, yeah, I'm sure most fans of Alice in Chains would say Angry Chair is the better song. I just personally don't see it.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Okay. It's Wood. It's Wood. It's Wood. Real Thing doesn't even stand a chance. It's Wood.
Hold on. Just vamp for a second. All
okay,
right.
Sure. So if folks don't, Cody just walked away. I have no idea what he's doing. So if you don't know, the ending of Dirt is a song called Wood with a question mark. This was in, I believe Jerry Cantrell wrote this for a friend of, and Cody probably knows this better than me, but it's dedicated to an individual from another band who was lead vocalist. I got to tell you, this song really just takes it to the max. Part of me thinks Cody's turning on his bass, and that's what's happening here. I bet you he's going to play the bass riff, the bass opening to Wood, because it is admittedly a really good bass opening. I'm going to put $5 on it and see what happens. Folks, I just won $5. I wonder how long he's going to go.
Every Guitar Center in the world will have that song playing at any single point from their opening to closing. Fuck yeah. Wood fucking blows Real Thing out of the fucking water, dude. I'll be back in a second.
I actually agree with him. Real Thing stands absolutely no chance. I do think it is a strong finish of a song, especially from Lane. I think Lane obviously kills it once again. And I do think the riff is sick, but Wood just completely eviscerates it.
Yeah, and then you get it in the Singles soundtrack. It's like you go see the movie Singles, which is, I think, Cameron Crowe, which is crazy because he is like a crazy Christian now. But like, out of nowhere, you're like, oh, that's cool. It's about the dating scene in the grunge scene in the 90s, and out of nowhere, you get maybe the best fucking Alice in Chains song. Just like fucking oh yeah, hey, we're making a movie. Yeah, just give us this song. Oh, okay. Here is the Crusher of Crushers.
So while you were setting up your base, I was blanking. Do you remember who this was dedicated to? This song?
Oh, it might have been. Hold on, I'll just look it up.
It's like Mud.
Oh, was it a dude from Mudhoney? It was
No, it was Mudbone something. Sorry, folks, we're both blanking here.
No, sorry, we're gonna Google this right now. Yeah, Andrew Wood, who was the singer of Mother Love Bone.
Mother Love Bone, that's it.
Which Mother Love Bone actually. Hold on, we're gonna go on a tangent here, just for a second. Mother Love Bone has one record, and it is called. I think it's called Apple. If you are in the mood for like good grunge music, okay, there's Apple and then Shine. Both of those are absolutely perfect first wave, like grunge. Like when grunge was still kind of weird, like punk rock thing. Same with the Melvins. Melvins also kind of came from that world. Man, yeah, a perfect song. Perfect song.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to say anything about Real Thing. I briefly mentioned just how I felt about it, which is to say that it's fine. I think it's okay. But like in comparison to Wood, it really just, it's like a tick up against like a giant.
Yeah. Yeah, one is, Real Thing is a song. It is a serviceable song. It is the last song on your first record. That's cool. I'm not expecting it to be a hit. Wood is a timeless classic that has only remained more timeless because of the tragic passing of Lane Staley and the tragic passing of all of the great musicians who were in and around the Seattle and Portland grunge scene in the 90s, and Tacoma and all of those places, because heroin got there first, and that sucks. And a lot of people died. And man, it only remains ethereal. It only remains timeless. Every single time Wood crushes. And to use it as the last song on your second record is insane.
It's genius move on their part.
Any other band, this would have been song one.
Yep.
This has perfect like intro song vibes. But no, instead, you're gonna get the hit first, and then we're gonna wind you down at the end.
Yeah, there's nothing that really can be said about this song other than it's amazing. I do want to point out though, my favorite, the fact that it's last in the track list, I think is such a smart move.
Yes.
And what's amazing is my favorite part of the song is the last 45 seconds. When he shifts from Lane shifts from what he was doing, and it's sort of like it sounds like a bridge.
Yes.
To a guitar solo or something, but you realize there's only 45 seconds left. And it's just like, they knew they had 45 seconds left. All four of them knew they had to just like encapsulate the album into 45 seconds, and they fucking nail it. And of course, the final, if I would, could you, and then just like, man, it's perfect. It's perfect close to an album.
It is. And I don't know. It's one of those songs where, again, it's like, think about all of the other great legacy landmark hard rock albums. How many of their last songs are this perfect?
That's fair.
Not just good. Not just great. Wood is a song where, like, okay, my band's going to play a show in Charlotte tomorrow for emo kids. None of them probably like Alice in Chains. I guarantee tomorrow that when I play the Wood bass line during sound check, someone's going to go, oh, that's that Alice in Chains song. It's your last song on your second record. It's not like your tentpole hit, you know? It's not fucking Dancing Queen by ABBA. It's a niche song from a niche band in a niche genre. Last song on your second record. And I can pull it out anywhere in the country. I can pull it out anywhere probably in the world, and someone's going to go, oh, that's Wood by Alice in Chains.
Yeah, I get chills thinking about Wood, like just as a song.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's unbelievably amazing, and a very strong close to in some cases people say it's a perfect album. I'm not quite in line with that, but I do believe it is a perfect close to this album. I don't think any other track here would do as well as Wood does at the end.
Yeah.
So Cody, you admittedly stayed consistent with your point you made at the top, which is to say that you gave the edge to Facelift twice out of what I'm pretty sure is like 12 matchups here.
Yes.
2 of them you gave the Facelift. For my part, I gave Facelift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I
Yeah.
gave Dirt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is what I'm talking about. Dirt to me, bar none, is the better album. I'm just going to flat agree with that. As a whole piece, as a whole consistent thing, I do agree Dirt is better. But in the sort of funny thing about track by track, which is why I like the track by track so much, is that it turns out that like Facelift has moments where I'm like, I just prefer Facelift when you go down the line together. Now, in isolation, yes, Dirt is better. Dirt, some of the songs on Dirt against any of the songs on Facelift pretty much win out unless it's like Man in the Box. So like, Rain When I Die versus any other song other than Man in the Box might just like kill it. Would, for example. Would versus Man in the Box. I don't even know at that point. Like, I might be inclined to go Would. I might still go Man in the Box. It's one of those things. So with track by track, that's how it plays out. But really, if we just put it for its baseline value, yes, I would agree Dirt is the better record.
Yeah, and I think once again, dude, I don't even know if the Big Four of Grunge is even comparable to do at this point. Because now that we've done the Big Four, at least what people claim, it's like I don't even want to put Soundgarden in the conversation.
But that's why I think we should do it. And this is a conversation we can just have in this episode, because
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with you that, like, look, let's just be honest. Dirt's probably going to land at number 1.
Yeah.
But if you take our episodes, there's 5 other spots. But I have a caveat, which is I want to include In Utero and some other Pearl Jam album I haven't thought of to make it 8 albums as opposed to 6.
Oh, it should be Versus.
Sure.
It should be the first and second Pearl Jam, because Versus is like where 10 has like big radio moments. Versus is almost like 10 was them kind of fucking with you, being like, oh yeah, we're like this radio band. Then you get to Versus and it's like, no, sorry, we're gonna write some riffs now. Okay, yeah.
So yes, I do think that if we had to guess right now, Dirt probably lands at number 1. But honestly, 2 through 8 could be totally different. Because you keep saying, Soundgarden I don't want to include. I want to include Soundgarden. Because I think on my list, Super Unknown might land kind of high, honestly.
That's fair.
So, yes, we might be able to call the end of the list right now and say number 1 is this. But I think it's everything in between that makes it interesting.
I agree.
Now, here's the real question. Does Jason get involved? Because Jason has infamously said he does not care for Alice in Chains. Which I think is absurd, by the way.
What I think we should do is we should just do a sidebar where it's you and me attacking him for 30 minutes.
Okay.
And we just don't tell him what it is. We just get him on the call and go, all right, you piece of shit. Why don't you fucking like Alice in Chains?
Well, the unfortunate thing is that we're still recording, so this is part of the episode.
Damn it, Jason, cover your ears. You didn't hear any of that last minute.
What I will say, though, to bring it back to this episode is that I'm not entirely sure why Jason doesn't like Alice in Chains, but I mean, listen to these 2 records, folks. Like I said, I think we did, in fact, save the best for last, especially when it comes to the Big Four of grunge. I mean, all those other bands, I mean, you could argue Nirvana's better because of Nevermind and how influential Nevermind is. I don't think so. I think these 2 records destroy Nevermind.
And I'd almost be willing to argue that this record, at least Dirt, influenced more than Nevermind.
Yeah.
Because think about how many people started singing like Lane Staley. I mean, there's a direct line from him to like Creed, where it's like, all right, you want someone who's gruff but with a huge range. You want someone who can get 2 octaves down and then 2 octaves up in the same breath. Like, yeah, that would be interesting. All right,
we'll think about it.
Yeah.
For now, though, conclusionary thoughts, Cody, about Alice in Chains.
A perfect band. Please don't do heroin. Please, that sounds like a silly thing to ask, but all it has done is destroy. The only good art that has come from heroin is the death after, and that sucks. Please just fucking stay away from it. Other than that, my band Tornaforte is getting ready to play shows again. Today is March 24th. Tomorrow we are playing at the Milestone in Charlotte, North Carolina. It might be today if you hear that. It would be nice to see you. It'd be nice to see you. We've got more stuff coming down the road. It'd be nice to see Mike soon and see Mike in person in a while.
For sure.
And continue to listen to his vinyl updates because they're really, really good. And I'm planning on doing one soon. So
dope. I'm excited for more Cody solo work because it is Mike's solo work all over the place.
It is, which is entirely my bad.
Well, until then, thank you for listening. Thank you for being you. Listen to Cody's words. Follow them. Cody knows what he's talking about. And we'll see you on the next one.
Be well.